what do you do in 2016? What is going to continue to drive sales now?
I'm going to give you a stupid answer. We're going to sell more cars. We've grown over 200,000 Jeeps in a matter of 12 months. We're going to plant that started down in Brazil probably in the second quarter of 2015. It's going to be fully operational now for the whole 12 months of 16. There's another car being launched down there by September of 16. We're launching Jeep. The first car is in production in China. Already we're launching a second car next year. The successor to the Campus Patriot is going on stream out of Toluca at the end of this year. So Jeep is going to continue its growth pattern. I think I've hinted at the fact that we're probably targeting over 2 million cars by 2018. This is a fundamental portion of the strategy going forward. And we are looking at a very benign U.S. market for 2016. So I don't think we're going to see a drop in volumes. Actually, some people are forecasting a growth in the NAFTA market. I'm not as optimistic. I think we'll hold 2015 levels. But Europe is doing phenomenally better than anybody envisioned back in 2014. So we are seeing much better performance. You'll see this from the numbers that we're reporting for the year in about 2 weeks. So I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged by what I see both in Europe and in North America. If we happen to, between now and sometime at the end of this year, happen to see light at the end of the tunnel out of Latin America, I think we're going to see a pickup in performance of substantial size in SCA going forward. So I remain optimistic, and I remain optimistic about our ability to make the 2018 targets, which is really, I mentioned this in the earlier press conference this morning, and this remains the key objective of the group, right? To have zero debt by 2018, make about $9 billion in operating profit. It wouldn't be a bad way to sort of finish off the cycle that you made reference to. We've had almost 6 years of uninterrupted growth in the United States. 69 months in a row, #1 position in Canada now. In 90 years, it's not an inconsequential feat. So I'm proud of what the kids have done. I think they've done a phenomenal job. I think we just got to keep on doing more of the same going forward.
Mr. Marchionne, or Mr. Marchionne, as you told me last year when we were together.
I'll answer to most things.
Jerry Anderson from WTOL in Toledo, nice to see you again. With Cherokee production moving out of Toledo, we'd like a timetable on that if we could. We'd also like to know about new vehicle production taking up now, some production capacity that presents to us. I know we want to build more Wranglers, but what about a Wrangler Pickup? What about Ram truck production? We want to know about what it will be and when.
I'll confirm it for you. We will build a Wrangler Pickup shortly after the launch of the Wrangler, of the new Wrangler, which should be operational sometime by the end of next year. And just broad line, the car is done, the car is designed, and it's been engineered, so we just need to get off our butts and start producing it.
Mr. Marchionne, Tracy Samilton, Michigan Radio. We have a midterm review very soon. All that people want to buy is Jeeps. What should happen during the review to the fuel economy targets, and what do you think will happen?
I think that what you'll see, and I do not prejudge, I don't want to prejudge those discussions. They're ongoing now in terms of providing input into the agency and into the regulators. I think that those discussions need to be had. I made the point at the time that the targets were set for 2025, and I repeat them now. There's nothing wrong with owning ambitious targets. We need to understand, and you can see it when you walk on the stand and all this hype around about hybrids and self-driving cars and everything else. Technology is undoubtedly available for us to make those numbers. The question is, what is the cost of meeting them, providing that technology to the marketplace? is they're going to fundamentally change the demand function of cars in the U.S. And that's the unknown thing. Now, yes, some things have been going down, battery cost, if you look at per kilowatt hours. That function has shown some encouraging signs in terms of accessibility and availability of batteries, but that's not the only thing that's going to impact on, the minivan that you see out there has got a substantial cost increase against the traditional standard car. The plug-in hybrid costs money. We'll be introducing Bellstar generators, 48-volt systems in most of our cars to provide mild hybrid solutions. The plug-in hybrid world is going to start slowly penetrating the whole portfolio that FCA has in the marketplace. Autonomous driving will come. You saw from some of the attributes in the minivan already about the level of electronic intervention into the actual management of the car. All these things are available at a price. The only thing I don't know is what happens when you start levitating prices. What happens to the demand function? Are we going to drop from the current 17.5, 18 million cars down to 12? If that happens, I think the transition is painful. It's painful because it has a significant impact on capacity utilization and substantial impact on employment levels. And that's why I think that the midterm review needs to find out whether the introduction of this technology to meet the standards can be done in a seamless way, in a way which allows for a combination of cost reduction as a result of technology coming down with prices. And it gives us a sufficiently long runway to make sure that this thing rolls out. There was a study that was done, I don't even remember who did it a while back, that looked at pricing in this industry over the last 20 years. And I can tell you right now that it's not been the most rewarding price function that I've ever seen in my life, which is also reflected in our margin generation. We just don't, we don't make enough money at this business to try and justify the size of the capital that we commit to this thing. Mike Jackson was interviewed somewhere on this auto show a while back, yesterday, I don't know, I just read the headlines. I have a lot of respect for Mike. I mean, apart from the fact that I think he's a great customer of FCA, but Mike has made reference to the fact that passenger cars as such are not performing well in the U.S. market simply because of the fact that the cheap gas has effectively shifted demand towards larger vehicles because now these things are affordable. The combination of a shift in the portfolio to that size of a vehicle and the desire to comply with emission standards by 2025 is going to require a technology shift and a push down into those vehicles, which is absolutely required in order to satisfy market demand, but it's got a price. Right, we're going to have to intervene on the Ram trucks. All the Jeeps will end up having a phenomenal amount of technology to make sure we can bring down emission levels to levels that are acceptable and make our portfolio box with the 2025 targets. All doable. Nobody's saying, no, it can't be done. The question is, cost, can you recover it? And if you try and recover it, what happens to volumes? It's an unknown. I much prefer to establish a gradual introduction of this technology to try and test our ability to try and recover. We can't lose money at this. We don't make enough anyway, so we need to find a better way to do this. That's the only issue. I have no objection to any of those things. I told President Obama at the time that he introduced the standards. And for us to admit that we couldn't have done it back then, I think would have been an admission of defeat. That's why we agreed. And sure enough, the industry has reacted. If you walk around the show here, you'll see that there's a phenomenal array of technology available to meet those targets. They're here. The industry has produced a solution at a price.
Hi, Lisa Guyton from 13 ABC in Toledo. what can you tell us about the next-generation Wrangler?
It's
And
the
what-
best thing we've ever made. I'm serious. It's a phenomenal vehicle. It cures all the ills, whatever few ills the old Wrangler had. So it's a significant step in performance. It's a phenomenal step in architecture. It's a great vehicle. And I think we've updated design without hurting its history, which is really, really important to us. So we've learned, look, the great thing about the Wrangler is it was a great car to learn from, because it's the affection that the customer base has towards that car, the level of intervention that they've carried on the vehicle and personalizing it, the intervention of Mopar in providing accessories has given us a whole pot of ideas about how to improve it and make them structural to the Wrangler. So the next Wrangler will see all that.